Hey guys, how you guys doing? This is Adenugu. I'm back again. I'm all bored in my hotel room. So I was like, I'm gonna make this video today. Actually I was talking to a guy friend of mine earlier today, and we couldn't agree on this topic. So I told him I'm gonna make a video on this topic because it seems like I come across this all the time and I've heard a lot of women complain about this. But he didn't, he doesn't say anything wrong. So I told him I'm gonna make a video. So you guys should be the judge. So we were talking about communication earlier today in a relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship or just friendship relationship. So I was telling him, to me, I feel like when you ask people what's important in a relationship, the first thing they say to you is communication. That is very important. But the problem is that people are not ready to actually have a real conversation when there's a problem. And as I get older, I'm starting to learn that people will say to you, if I over offend you, I'd rather have you come to me. I have this open door policy where I'd rather have you come to me and let's have a conversation and squash it and move on. When a problem comes along, you come to them. They put up this, open, what is it? This defense mechanism, and fail to actually listen to understand what the issue is. And sometimes, and then if you don't come to them and talk to somebody else about it, they get offended. Why? How come you didn't come to me about it? If you don't talk to them about it and cut them off completely and move on, it's like, oh my gosh, what did I do? So I feel like sometimes people say that they're open to having an honest conversation, but the truth of the matter is that they're not. So I was talking. So he was telling me about. So I asked him about this girl that he told me about. He was talking to, and he said that he doesn't, they don't talk anymore. That the girl is crazy. So I said, what do you mean? She's crazy. Did she key your car? Did she throw an egg at you or something like that? Because like, what do you mean? I thought you really really liked her. You were really crazy about her. So he said, yeah, I liked her, but then as I got to know her, there was just some things I didn't like, so I just stopped communicating. And I'm like, okay, what do you mean you stopped communicating? Did you tell her? And he was like, oh, she started liking me, and but I wasn't into her, so I just stopped responding to her. I stopped answering her calls. So I'm like, that's the problem. It's like I feel like sometimes men, they do this, and before you know it, it's like they make it seem like you're crazy, because they don't want you, and now you're upset. But I'm like, it's not about whether somebody wants you or not. It's about communication. I'm like, the moment you felt like you were no longer interested in her, I think you should have communicated to her and make sure that both of you are on the same page. But you didn't, you cut her off. He was like, no, he felt like it wasn't necessary to tell her, because it's one of the hardest things to communicate to somebody, to tell somebody you don't want them. He felt like, based on his behavior, for him not answering her calls, she should get the hint at a point that he's no longer interested. So I'm like, no, a lot of men, you guys do this a lot. A lot of you guys out there, they do this. You be minding your business as a girl. And I've been in that situation where a guy will start calling you every single day. It's like, in a day, you guys are talking for hours. Things are flowing. He's telling you how much he likes you, how pretty you are, how he can't wait to see you, and blah 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 blah. And then you put your guards down. The moment you put your guards down, you start liking them, and you're like, oh, okay, I really like this person. Then they put their guards up. Sometimes I've been in a situation where they become so nasty. Even simple, hey, how was your day? They cuss you out. I'm like, what the heck? Like, what did I do? What did I say? And instead of them to pick up the phone and say to you, hey, I really like our conversation. I think you're a great person, or but unfortunately, I'm not on the same page as you. I don't feel the same way or whatever. We can be friends, but I don't think I'm gonna be in that situation where I don't think I'm on that same page with you, and have like a real mature conversation. But they don't. I tend to see this behavior a lot from introverts. They just cut you off. They always feel like everything is an attack on them, that you're upset that they don't want you. I'm like, no, I'm not angry. that you don't want me. Anybody that knows me, and I say this to all my friends, if I over offend you, please let me know, because sometimes we think that everything is okay, or we think that our behavior is okay, but how other people perceive your behavior might be very offensive, might be negative. So I'm like, I'm like, you can't give somebody, you gave her the impression in the beginning that you were interested. And I feel like the best thing you should have done is pick up the phone and say, you know what, Adako, I don't feel the same way about you. Or, I really like our friendship. I don't want anything to ruin it. I'm not on the same page. All I can offer you is friendship, but nothing more. At least if you have that conversation, an honest conversation with that person, and they continue to say, I want to, or whatever, then you know that they're crazy, like you cut it off. But to me, I feel like sometimes people don't even communicate that they're not on the same page with you. And to me, I feel like it takes a lot of guts for somebody to even come up to you and say, I like you, I want this from you. And and I'm like, I've had some guys come to me and be like, oh, EJ, I really, really like you. I think you're a cool person. I want you to be my girlfriend. I want something serious with you. And I don't feel the same way. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so flattered. I'm sure it took you a long time to even tell me this. I really appreciate you told me this. But unfortunately, I'm not on the same page with you. The only thing I can give to you is friendship and nothing more. And that way, I'm not giving anybody the wrong impression, because I feel like a lot of men, they used to this kind of behavior. They give you the wrong impression. And then the next thing is that they go 180 in a second and then start making you think that you're crazy. And then they start making it seem like you're crazy. Oh, instead of them to say, I don't feel the same way, in a very respectful way. Sometimes they say it in a very negative way, like what the heck. So me and him, we argued. I'm like, no, you created a problem where there shouldn't be a problem. Simple conversation can clear a little miscommunication. But some people, before you know, okay, if she goes nowadays in all these groups, I mean, once people start dating or they start talking, and then the next thing they blasting each other on social media. And then the next thing I hear is that bitch is just, so pissed because I don't want her. Because, I don't want her. And then she's pissed. I'm like, did you communicate that to her? And if you did, how did you communicate that? So he was like, to him, he felt like he doesn't need to tell her that he's no longer interested, that his behavior should explain that she should get the hint that he's no longer interested by him not responding to her phone calls or texting her back or something. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way, because at a point she gave you her attention. You asked for her attention and she gave it to you. So the least you can do is say, I'm no longer on the same page, and have a serious conversation. And like I say to people all the time, I respect men that from the beginning of our conversation, when we start talking, they made it clear that they're not looking for a serious relationship. They're not looking for anything. I've had some guys go straight to the point when we start talking. Maybe we exchange numbers and then they call me or I call them. We start talking and we talk about relationship, and like, right now I'm not at a place where I want to start dating. I don't want a serious relationship. And I'm like, okay, at least I know from beginning that this is where this person stands, that they're not looking for a relationship. And then I just know that all he wants is friendship. And I give him the friendship. Yeah, I've been in a situation where I caught feelings. But then I'm like, I try to separate my feelings, with from our friendship, because they were clear. I'm not gonna come and say, he deceived me, I didn't know that. But I have a problem with a man comes to you in a way that, and made it seem like they were looking for a relationship. And then all of a sudden they cut you off without even having a conversation. Sometimes they even become nasty. Instead of them to say, okay, I don't want you, they become so nasty towards you. I had one that would cuss me out. Even simple, how was your day? Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm like, what? Like, they just cuss you out like that. And the next thing is like they cut you off. And then the next thing is like, you're crazy. So my question is, if you are talking to somebody you really liked in the beginning, initially in the beginning, you liked this person, and in the process you lost interest, Is it okay? So what, where is, how do you handle the situation? Do you call this person and say, let's have a conversation, I don't feel the same way about you, especially if they start liking you back? Or do you just cut the person off completely and stop answering their call, and then start returning their text messages? How is the best way to communicate? Because I feel like, especially in our generation, communication is one of the biggest issues I tend to run in with people. People always claim that they're open to having a real serious conversation, but they're not. But anyway, let me know what you think. What's the best way to handle this situation? All right then, bye.